Hello, this is Malorian, and this is my second game of the Out of the Basement tournament for 2011, and this time I'm against Skaven. So in this game, what it was all about is in these two buildings, there's an artifact. Now, only characters can go into these buildings, and if they do, they can take these artifacts. I mean, if you roll a dice, and on a 1 you take a wound, on a 2 to 6 you get this artifact, and basically, as long as you have the movement, which obviously you would since you can't march into a building, you can then bring that artifact back to your unit. The artifact can be then recaptured, just like capturing a banner, and then each one's worth 500 points at the end of the game. So I'm up against my friend Victor. He has started up a Skaven army, which has some cool looking things in it, and unfortunately I don't have any close-ups, but I'll just kind of comment on them. So left to right, he has some slaves. He has his doom wheel, he has 2 rat ogres, more slaves. Then he has his warp cannon. He has an engineer and a gracier out in the open, which I thought was kind of interesting, but I guess he sees that I have no shooting. He then has that's Jezzails between the rat ogres and the warp lightning cannon. Then he has 3 units of slaves. In the back there, he has a horde of spearmen, clan rats, and in there he has a warlord that's off on that litter thing. And I mean, this is where I say it's a really cool conversion because he's on like a Slan Palanquin, and he has a Bretonnian shield, and he has just basically all these little looted stuff from all the other armies. Then he has another horde of the clan rat spearmen, and he has a VSB in there. Plague Wind Mortar, whatever it's called in the back. Plague of Halt. Another horde on the far right. Each of those clan rat units have the plague mortars, and somewhere there's an assassin. So, you can see that my wolves have scouted up there, and they want to go and charge some of those war machines if I can. But I was a little bit worried about this because I'm kind of assuming that his warlord is pretty tough. I'm also assuming that his assassin is somewhere there. I don't know if they can go into slaves, but, I already got my arse kicked in the last game. I need to do well if I'm going to do anything now, and I can't have my general die right off the bat. So in this, I'm looking at some of these rat hordes, and I know I can rip them apart, but I'm going to have to kind of play this carefully, and it might be a thing where I'm just going to get the artifacts and hide. So he gets turn 1, which is the Scourging, because, that's going to make it easier for him to get the artifacts. However, he doesn't actually play it all that aggressively. A lot of his stuff kind of holds back. He's really just trying to guard his war machines there on the right. His slaves move up, but lots of other stuff stay back. His 2 characters move up. His rat ogres are moving to the center. The doom wheel moves up, and then after that, he does some shooting to me, kills some night goblins, and I think a couple of wounds to my river trolls. But overall, and kills one of my wolves. But overall, nothing too bad. My turn 1, the usual stupid animosity things. My night goblins were fine to begin with, but I was going from left to right, and then when I got to my wolves failed and picked a fight with my night goblin horde. My horde then killed all the wolves, so they're all dead. So much for charging his war machines, and then those guys are stuck back, right? At least they had actually failed animosity as well, but they had moved up with gained the 6 result, so they're a little bit closer to that building. Otherwise, I'm just kind of moving up, putting up some of the pressure. I have my 1 character on the far left to try and, make sure that if he does charge me, if the assassin isn't in the left unit, I should be safe to a point. But, I'm still being fairly careful here. Depending where that doom wheel goes, I'm hoping to smash it with the guys over there, because it seems like he has a lot of cheap stuff on the left that's not well guarded, wants to destroy that doom wheel. But I'm still being very cautious with everything else. So his turn 2, he goes and does some damage to me, that's for sure. First of all, I want to say that in my last turn, I actually did some damage to him because he had to 2 characters all together. I did the Foot of Gork and was able to try and hit both his characters at once. Killed his engineer, but luckily his Gracier had passed his Look Out Sir thing or whatever. But now he got his revenge and did like the dreaded 13th on my savages here, killing a good number of them. He had tried to charge my river trolls with his doom wheel, didn't quite make it, but zapped a couple of them, and otherwise, he killed a few more night goblins, but no big deal. So then on my turn 2, my black orcs go and destroy the doom wheel. My river trolls had charged, his rat ogres destroyed them, overran, and so now I have his Dazales and warp lightning cannon tied up. My one Squidherd horde is going after those slaves. I've gone into the buildings and I've taken both of the artifacts. So right now, I mean, I'm feeling fine with just sitting back and waiting for the win. I don't know if it's happened yet because I didn't really take pictures of the far right side, but his one clan route unit is sweeping around, and at some point he reveals he actually has the assassin in the far right unit. So I mean, that doesn't really scare me at all then now. I'm just really worried that maybe that warlord is kind of awesome. So his turn 3, the slaves on the left try rear charging my black orcs, and that didn't really work out for them. Them, the Dazales, and the warp lightning cannon are all destroyed. He had one unit of slaves that was trying to sneak between the building and my river trolls. Well, because of that loss in the combat, they failed their panic, and that's why they're on the other side of the building now. And then otherwise, no, he's trying to target a lot of stuff into my savage orcs, killed quite a few of them. But, I mean, now that's even mean to me more that I don't want to get anywhere near to them if I don't have to. So, my turn 3, my night goblins there on the right failed their animosity, so they run up. They then charge the clan rats with his BSB, beat them all up, they break, the BSB automatically dies even though they don't catch him. This panics the Grey Seer, and he's going to now fail his rally test and run off the board next turn. My bunker actually does something for once, charges those slaves and catches them and destroys them, so that's awesome. And then otherwise, my river trolls failed stupidity, but my black orcs are moving up to put some pressure on his warlord unit there and basically distract them from where my artifacts are. So his turn 4, and by looking at the time, this is going to be our last turn. He sends his one unit of slaves into the flank of my night goblins. I hold and I reform to face him. Like I said, his Grey Seer and his other big horde ran off the board, and yeah, pretty much he's just hoping that he can hold out. So my turn 4, with Hand of Gork, I go and I teleport my guys behind his unit. I destroy that one plague mortar thing there, and I actually netted myself, so my night goblins didn't do too much. I think we actually we would have lost combat but held, or maybe beat him barely and he held, but whatever it was, we're still sitting there, and so this is how the game ends. It's an obvious massacre win for me, and which was feeling pretty good after that last beating. So like I said, victory to the Orcs. Some things I'd say that led to the victory is that, one, he kind of really didn't put that assassin where he should have been. Turns out that his warlord isn't dangerous either. He's really just there for leadership, so I had been scared of him for nothing. And I mean, really, if he would have been able to push up and go for the artifacts, it would have been a totally different game. I mean, this turned out to be pretty laid back for me, where I could just grab the artifacts, passively destroy everything on the left, and then only kind of deal with the center as something opens up. But hey, I'm not going to complain. Victor that's the guy I was playing. He was a great guy. It was a fun game, and now I got one massacre loss and massacre win, so at least I'm back in the middle again.